Alright, welcome to another torque clamp video. Today we're going to talk about comparisons between standard street clutches, the torque clamp and a pure racing clutch, just so you get an idea where we're at, what we were thinking when we actually designed torque clamp. The first thing is, let's talk about the standard clutch, the standard street clutch that comes with your OE car. This is our company ute, which is the Holden Commodore, 6 litre V8 with a Tremec 6-speed gearbox. For those of you in the States, it would be like having a Camaro pickup. Great cars, nice to drive. This is the clutch that comes out of the car, as you can see, big and heavy. It works quite well, but if you wanted to get some revs out of your engine or spike up the power by putting a supercharger on, you're going to be in a bit of trouble, because there is a limit to what they can do. They are generic and they're designed to take the OE style or the off-the-shelf car type power and torque. The first comparison we're going to do is static weight. So this is the clutch and flywheel from a VE Commodore, this one here. And you can see, let's go. What do we like looking there? It's quite nearly 24 kilos, 23.5 kilograms. Now, let's do the torque clamp, clutch and flywheel. Oops. That's a weight. Oh, that's much better. And the static weight we have there is just over 16 kilograms. So as you can see, considerable weight difference. Okay, not only is the weight different, but all the weight is taken up much closer to the centre axis. So it may be several kilograms lighter in static weight, but it's much more exponentially in rotational weight, or moment of inertia. Okay. Let's look at the clutch itself. Okay, let's look at the pressure plate to start, the clutch plate to start with. This is the normal clutch plate that comes out of most cars, something very similar to this. As you can see, it has Marcel springs, or cushioning springs in the centre. It has dampening springs all the way around. Now, in high torque applications, this is usually what fails, and that's a very common effect. As you can see, these things, when you start putting superchargers or nitrous or anything form of increased power in your car, these are what will take most of the load. As you can see with the torque clamp, by comparison, much smaller in diameter and doesn't have any of those springs. Now, pressure plate or the clutch cover. Let's look at the front first. You can see here, it's quite strong, but it's all pressed metal. Alright, so it's basically a piece of sheet metal that is stamped, nothing wrong with that, until you start increasing the horsepower and torque of your car. We've got the diaphragm springs here, which operate the clutch. We have these self-adjusting tabs here. And if we turn it round, you'll see this is the pressure plate, and it's cast iron. Good durable work, it will be good and reliable for a normal street car. As well as that, we have these straps which actually slide up and down here. Now these straps attach to the pressure plate and help it move away from the clutch plate. But what you find is, again, in more horsepower applications, that these straps will fail. So if you get your normal Holden, Camaro, Corvette and so on, start increasing the horsepower of it by adding a supercharger or whatever, you start loading up all these points of failure that are on this clutch. Right. And this is the clutch cover and pressure plate on the torque clamp. You can see by comparison, if we're looking at the front, much different, much lighter. I can lift this up with one hand, but I can't lift this up with the other. Okay, so there you go. All billet aluminium, and again, like we showed in the previous videos, it's pinned to the flywheel. The pressure plate is actually this piece here. As you can see, that's cast iron, that's billet steel. Much smaller in diameter, much lighter, much less prone to explosion. Now if we go to the other extreme, which is a racing clutch. This is what we modelled our torque clamp on. Basically, racing clutches throughout the years have been very similar to this. This is a 7¼ inch racing clutch made by Powertrain Technology in the US. We also sell these clutches, and they are extremely good quality, well made, and they really know what they're talking about when it comes to clutches. But you can see here, going the other way, if you want to show it, this is the floater plate. You can see how light and thin that is. Okay, our floater plate, much thicker, but as you can see, made in the same vein as a racing clutch. Same style and so on. Okay, this is the racing clutch plate, also provided by Powertrain Technology. Again, excellent quality. But you can see it's sintered bronze, so it's ideal for circuit use. Our clutch plate is organic, slightly larger, and again, when you look at it in comparison, I'll just get this out of the way. So there you have it. There's the comparison. Alright, as you can see, the torque clamp is right in the middle. Okay. This is the pressure plate out of the 7 1/4, as you can see, really, really light. This is the clutch plate out of the torque clamp, again, in the middle of the pressure plate from the OE to the racing clutch. And again, we look at the cover. You can see the cover is extremely light again, and is completely one piece, again, for good torque resistance. This clutch will hold about 900 foot-pounds of torque, maybe even a bit more. But again, it's so small that street use may overheat this clutch. So on the racetrack it'd be fantastic to drive, but the minute you get caught in traffic, you couldn't tow with it. If you're driving through the centre of town and you're driving through peak hour traffic, or just driving on the road in general, this thing will be a lot more on and off than any of these clutches. So as you can see, this clutch here, right, is from the OE factory. This is how they came in the car. Again, if you want more horsepower increase and more performance, you need to go to a clutch of this size, like the torque clamp. Anything smaller than this, you may find you have heat issues and you won't be able to tow and drive it on a daily basis. Also too, they use the sintered bronze, we're using organic, the same as every other clutch. So effectively you're getting the best of both worlds by having racing car technology with the use of the organic materials that are used in daily drives. So that's it for the comparison. I hope that's been informative for you. Thanks again for watching.